Oh yeah, I'm supposed to talk about these red flags and green flags in dating now.
That's great. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so all right. There was a poll from Change Research.
Love this poll, by the way. It's really, really cool.
So funny and fun and whatever. Where they asked men and women, what are your red flags in terms of evaluating a potential dating partner, and what are your green flags? So red flags are like, no, that's I don't like that. I'm probably going to avoid that person. And green flags are like, yes, that's a positive, etc.
And let's throw it up on screen right now. You guys can take a look at it as we go through it.
Yeah, okay. So let's put the red flags up first because they're in some ways funnier. And they have it split here by gender, and they have it ordered in the by like what the women found to be the biggest red flags. And the number one biggest red flag for women in evaluating partners is that the potential partner identifies as a MAGA Republican.
Absolutely nailed it.
76% of women said that is a 76%.
Absolutely nailed it.
Said that is a red flag. Next highest was that they have no hobbies.
Nailed it. They're so right.
Next was that they say all lives matter, which of course, like direct reaction of Black Lives Matter. So these are all the hobbies is just neutral about your
How would that even come up on a date, right? Like how would that come up?
What, all lives matter?
Yeah, how is it like? What just out of nowhere? Somebody's gonna bring up Black Lives Matter, and the other person's gonna be like, actually, all lives matter.
Well,
like how's that gonna work?
I don't know. People really wear their political affiliation very proudly now.
Weirdos do. Weirdos do.
A lot of people do. So if they pull up in a car with the thin blue line and the "Don't tread on me" and whatever, then you probably know they're like an all lives matter kind of guy,
That's
right?
Accurate, yes.
They say there are only two genders. 58%.
So that's a red flag for women. 58% say that's a red flag. So in other words, they're like, you better acknowledge trans people exist.
Yes. This one is funny. They are so unbothered they never ask for details.
Huh.
Yeah,
so that's just like they're selfish. They don't care about me at all. They just care about themselves. That's what I'm getting out of that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's what that
I
means.
wasn't quite sure how to take that one.
It's never like, how's your day? Oh, what did Becky do to you at the office? It's just like, how's your day? Whatever, I'm going to go fish.
Let me tell you about me. Yeah.
Why did I say fish? That's so random.
The next one, but notably significantly less of a red flag than being a MAGA Republican, is they identify as a communist. So 55% say that's a red flag.
And a shout out to Mac, good politic guy. He pointed this out to us. This is a great grab. It's so there are way more women say it's a red flag if you're a MAGA Republican than if you're a communist.
Yeah.
So you could be all Viva la Revolucion wearing a Che Guevara shirt, talking about the glory of Cuba. Yeah. And they're like, all right, I like that. It's fine. better than the Trump sycophants.
Right. And then actually very close to that is they identify as conservative. So they identify as a communist as a red flag for 55%. They identify as a conservative as a red flag for 54%. So basically you're equal being like a standard issue conservative versus being a literal communist.
Okay, and we have to point this one out. They listen to Rogan as a 55% red flag. Joe, what's going on, man? Come on, Joseph. What is this? What is this?
Ella had actually, our 15-year-old had said this to me, that's a red flag.
That if they listen to Rogan, it's a red flag?
She offered that unprompted, yeah. Because there's a certain type, especially like a high school dude that's listening to Joe Rogan, you can imagine why.
They're very likely to be obsessed with jujitsu, to ask people if they've taken DMT, to kind of believe alien stuff. Like there's like a whole litany of things that go with it. Look, here's my theory. My theory is that it's a very, like the group has very clear delineating things about them. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, it almost feels like religious in a sense. Yeah. And so if you are a big time Rogan viewer, you're very likely to like always bring up to your partner, like, did you see that Rogan episode, bro?
Right.
And the woman's probably like, oh, geez.
Yeah. Yes, that's probably right. This next one is interesting. They refuse to see the Barbie movie, 53%. They don't care about politics, 50%. Say that's a red flag.
See, that one's interesting to me. I guess 50%. I could see 50%, but I always felt like apolitical is relatively inoffensive. Being political and agreeing is inoffensive. Even being political and agreeing on most stuff or half of stuff is inoffensive. I only find it offensive once you cross that like 50% threshold where it's like they're political and they also disagree with you on like 75% of things or 100% of things. That's where it's like, oh, this is going to be a little much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, look, our politics are very similar and that's not an accident. Like it's important to me that a partner share like similar base values and worldview because it informs not just, we're going to agree in politics, but it also also informs things like how you're going to raise your kids and what's your general outlook on life going to be. So I've never had a problem with people who want their partner to have similar politics. I know some people hold that up as like, oh, what is our country coming to, that these women say they won't even date a conservative, but I've never found that to be an issue or a problem.
But I also do think most people do date people with relatively similar politics.
Yeah,
I feel like that's kind of a default thing that a lot of people do. And to your point, because if there's massive disagreement on that, that means it's very likely there's going to be massive disagreement in other areas that are seemingly non-political.
You're going to have a culture clash.
Yeah,
basically.
Of course. Like, just to give one example, like you pointed out, raising the kids. What if one person is super disciplinarian? This is how it goes.
Right.
And then the other person is more like, no, we're kind. We kind of walk them through it carefully. We don't have like really strict hard rules for no reason. You know what I mean? Like you could have a total culture clash over that.
Yes, I totally agree. After there, for women, it really falls off. But just to give you a few of like, because we got a bunch of conservative red flags at the top, the left-coded, outside of being an actual communist, the left-coded things here rate much lower in terms of being red flags. 19% say if you identify as a liberal, that's a red flag. 19% say that if you say Black Lives Matter, or I'm sorry, 14% say if you say Black Lives Matter, that's a red flag. They send green text. I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Hold on. Can I just interject here to say the one where it's only 19% is a red flag for if they frequently post on social media? Wrong. That should be 100% view that as a red flag.
I agree.
Because people who are 24/7 on social media, their brain is melting.
And then also 23% say if they talk about politics frequently, that's a red flag. So it's more of a red flag more often that they don't care about politics than they talk about politics a lot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. For the men, it was a little less, it's a little more all over the place.
Well, identify as a communist is number one red flag for men.
64% red flag for men. And then next is they identify as a MAGA Republican. They have no hobbies. That's a problem for men and women.
Yeah, that's a huge problem.
MAGA Republican is 59% red flag for men. And then where do we go? 41%, they say all lives matter.
41% into astrology.
Yeah, they say that's a red flag. That's interesting, right?
Yeah.
At 42%, they are so unbothered they never ask for details. Kind of similar to the women there in terms of concern.
So basically, the overall takeaway, and let's get to the green flags now. But the overall takeaway is like political extremes plus not having a hobby and not caring about your partner are the biggest red flags, I would say.
Yeah, I would say that's true. Okay, let's put up the green flags. Number one green flag for both men and women is that they read. I wouldn't necessarily have seen that coming. How about you?
I actually do kind of find that shocking. I think it's like people view it as a signifier of like you're intelligent and you're like reasonable, thoughtful, you're patient. Like that's how I kind of interpret that, is that's a stand-in for those things.
Yeah, the like unanimity of that though kind of surprised me.
Yeah, that's right.
The next one that was number two for both men and women was researching for best deals and rates before buying.
That's because people are struggling. The working class is struggling. They don't have that much money, so they want somebody who's prudent with their money.
Yeah. See, but on the other hand, I think it can be, it's good to be like prudent and careful with your money, but I think it can go really bad when it goes into being like cheap. You know what I mean?
Of course, but I view this as a stand-in for like they have a good credit rating and they're responsible. That's how I interpret these words here. But I understand what you're saying. If somebody's too frugal and too cheap, that could be like, stop.
The next green flag for men is they look better in person.
That's weird.
Right?
That's like these people are all they have online syndrome from dating sites. You know, that's what that sounds like.
That's what
to me.
I thought too, or like, the Instagram filters or the TikTok filters or whatever. They're like, okay, I want you to actually not just be like catfishing me. I want you to actually look a certain way in real life. And that was kind of high for women too. It says 51% green flag for women if you look better in person. For women, 60% say it's a green flag if they say Black Lives Matter. What are some of the other big ones here? They take candid pictures of you.
I literally don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means.
It is a 50% green flag for women, 34% green flag for men. And for men, 44% say it's a green flag if they're not on social media. 46%, for men say it's a green flag if they say there are only two genders. So there's a real like gender divide on that.
There really is a gender. I don't know what it is about dudes that like they just the whole trans thing, they just don't like it. It's very strange to me. It's like, I don't know why this is controversial. Yeah, I don't know why this is controversial. Look, there's some percentage of the population that just is trans. They were effectively, quote unquote, born in the wrong body.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's so. That is no more offensive to me than some people happen to be gay, right?
Right.
Like, why is that?
Well, it's interesting because oftentimes the people who are super anti-trans, they frame it as like, oh, I'm defending women.
Or they do the I'm defending science, like both of those things. Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of times it's for women's sports, and I'm defending women and protecting women, etc. I don't want the men in the women's bathrooms, and clearly the women are like on a very different page based on these red flags and green flags. So yeah, I think it has a lot to do with this discomfort with their own sense of masculinity.
So I just want to point one more out.
Yeah.
They frequently post on social media. That's only a 6% green flag for women and a 5% green flag for men. So at least they have it right on this side of the equation.
True.
That like that's probably not a good thing. But let me ask you, what do you view as the biggest green flag?
Oh, geez.
I can answer first if you want. You can think about it while I answer.
No, I know what mine is. It's like labor supporter.
That's funny. That's very particular and unique.
Yeah,
there's not many people who would say that.
That's real for me. That's very real.
I would say kind, competent, and chill.
Okay.
So you have to be kind, you have to be competent, and you have to be chill. And you fit all of those.
Oh, well, thanks, babe.
Well, of course.
And you have good politics, so.
I like to think so. It is my job.
Last one I have to point out here on the Rogan green flag side. So for women, 7% do say that listening to Joe Rogan is a green flag. For men, a full quarter of men say that if their prospective partner listens to Joe Rogan, it is a green flag. So another big gender divide there.
I feel like another big thing is like having some hobbies in common.
Yeah.
So you and I both like politics. That's big because then we always have something to talk about.
Yeah.
And then we also both, I got you into golf a little bit. That's fun. And then
I don't know if we've revealed that to the world yet.
Yeah, I don't know either. And we play,
news.
like, we used to, for a while, and your knee has some issues, but for a while we would play tennis and just try to volley as much as possible. Like, we have similar things that
we like
watch
to do.
The same shows. Like, those things make it so that it's very harmonious.
Yeah.
It's not like, I'm going to go do this thing and you go do that.
And we both really enjoy being, like, sports parents.
Yeah,
the kids' soccer games, the basketball games, and whatever. We actually really like that.
My coaching credentials have shot through the roof.
That's right. Yeah, in a very short period of time. Yeah.
Indeed.
So, anyway, there you go. That's what people are thinking about prospective partners. Very interesting stuff. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in.